Hi, this is Drewscape. I am an illustrator. As an illustrator, I'm always practicing to keep my skills sharp. One of the things I did recently was dealing with these random sketches and doodles that tend to just collect around my house. So I guess I do that when my computer's starting up or when I'm just maybe procrastinating, right? Just for fun. I try out a new art tool and stuff like that. So as you can see, they're usually too nice to throw away. And in my previous video, I showed that we could actually take photos or scan them and convert them into digital collage you can make into book covers or social media banners. But that doesn't really solve the problem of the physical thing because these things still don't go away. So I thought, why not make these into actual physical finished illustrations? So these are the two random sketches I've chosen for this experimental practice. I've cut them out and let's see what we can do with them. I'm just looking for an old sketchbook to use. Using old sketchbooks can be quite fun because if I find drawings that don't look very good anymore, I can just paint over them. And in this sketchbook, you can see some of my experiments where I already cut and paste random sketches and tried to make them into paintings. I've been liking using acrylic paints for these experiments because unlike watercolors, they can cover over things pretty easily. Some of these sketches are like 15 years ago. Okay, I'm going to choose this page and let's put the sketches in. I don't really have a plan yet. I'm just going to put them in and figure it out along the way. And they could be two separate illustrations or one illustration. I'm not sure yet. Just gonna glue them in. No fancy brushes here. I'm just gonna use some old grungy brushes, some big, some small. Get the paint ready. I like using this big yogurt container to wash my brushes. I'm gonna use this big brush. I'm painting this with very little water because I want the paint to be very thick to cover over the background. I'm not really concerned about which brand of acrylic paint I'm using. I just want to use up all the acrylic paints I have and just have fun with it. I'm going for a warm background here. I'm adding a darker background for his head, so his head stands out because his helmet's light color. I'm giving them both the same background, so they would actually be in the same picture. I don't know if it will work yet, but we'll see. And here I made the decision just to cover over my lines. Well, I can try anything. That's what experiments are for, right? I'm still figuring out what this boy is about. I'm guessing this guy is some sort of a spaceman, astronaut, so I'm gonna paint him like that. I gave him yellow skin. Maybe that would make him a bit more outworldly looking. Maybe he's from another planet. I try to have a reason in my head. Adding details and contrast. Adding shadows and highlights. Stars. I'm thinking this could be a space scene on a landscape of a planet or something. I thought I was done, but something was still missing. I thought maybe add some texture and dynamic angles, but that wasn't working too. So let's make these two separate pictures then. One had a warmer background, one had a cooler background. But what was missing? I added more details, more lighting effects, tried to make it cooler, but something was still not working. After staring at it for a while, I think I got it. These characters were just standing there. They needed more of a story. So I went about building one around them. Instead of just painting stuff around them, I thought of using more collage. I was trying to figure out why the kid's cape was flying upwards. And then I was thinking, maybe he's high up somewhere where the wind is blowing upwards. And therefore I'm going to make this railing around him, where you can see the city lights in the distance below him. So after pasting one part of the railing, I realized I need to draw the dark background first before I put down the brighter colored railing. I think pasting the railing over looks more interesting than if I just painted it over. With the light shining in front of him, there will be shadows falling behind each bar. I gave him a hatch below his feet so he doesn't look like a prisoner. Add in the city lights and some spaceships flying off. So maybe he's looking at some spaceships flying off high up someplace. Maybe he has been left behind, or he's waiting to go on a trip, or he's watching somebody leave. Yeah, I think the story is making the picture look more interesting. For the spaceman on the left, instead of him just standing there doing nothing, maybe he could be in a spaceship looking out the window. So now I'm going to make the window using a cutout as well. I'm thinking it could be like an aeroplane window. I'm cutting it out just very loosely. I want it to have almost like a children's picture book kind of quality. Before I paste it down, I realized I should paint the inside of the spaceship first. The inside of the spaceship would be warm lit, while the outside would have colder colors like blues. Some white dots to imply buttons and consoles inside the spaceship. I used cutouts to make some of the screens to make it more interesting. I didn't want a white window frame, so I'm gonna color it grey. Oops, the paper tore, but that's the fun thing about experiments. It doesn't really matter. Just have fun. Okay, seems to fit well. Just glue it into place. And I paint the outside of the ship. And that's the nice thing about acrylic, you can just go over and over any mistake. Not so easy with gouache and pretty much almost impossible with watercolor. Following the lighting of the guy inside, I'm gonna make the side of the ship in a shade. Give some dimension to the window. I am adding some extra hints that this is the outside of a spaceship. And I want a number on the outside of the spaceship, so I'm going to look at my watch. 5th of August, so 8/5. A cutout would look more crisp, so I used the cutout. Some shadows against the side of the ship would hint that there are things around the ship. That could make the picture more interesting. I wonder why he's gazing out with that expression. Maybe he just wants to go out and play. Adding more dimension to the windows so that things pop out more, especially around the main character. So we want more contrast around that area. Just adding in more detail, make sure that it's clear enough that those are like computer controls or spaceship controls inside. Some reflection on the glass. Some highlights. Oh yeah, the shadow has to go over that part too. Now I'm adding in some weathering. It'd be cool if it could be like battle damage, but let's just stick with this for now. Now I'm just fixing some small details, highlights. So here's a before and after. Which one do you like better? Almost forgot the shadows over the numbers. I'm just gonna shade it in using a matte black pencil. I felt I needed to make the spaceships clearer. If not, the background would be a bit too vague. His cape or cloak is blowing up in the wind, and he's watching these spaceships fly off to another planet. This is a melancholic scene. And so I've managed to turn my random doodles into these two illustrations. I am happy enough with them. It was good practice and I learned a lot. Hope you did too.